guys, welcome back to my channel, and for those of you that are new, I give you a very, very warm welcome. Of course, if you haven't already subscribed, I hope you do decide to subscribe and press that little subscribe button right there. And as usual, please give me a big thumbs up and of course leave a comment, good or bad. As you know, all are welcome. Okay, so what is the video about today? This is going to be the dark side of the Wizard of Oz. I found some facts and information that kind of threw me for a loop, surprised me, and shocked me, but I wanted to share these facts with you because you may not know all of them. I'm gonna probably touch on typical information that you already know, but there may be a lot of stuff in there that you didn't know. Hence how I look right now. Yes, I have already taped the first video for the first month of October, and I'm really looking forward to posting that, but of course it's not going to go up yet for another few weeks. But yes, I've already started. So since I look like Dorothy, I just thought I would do this video about the dark side of the Wizard of Oz. And if you're wondering why I'm going to be looking over to the side, I do have some notes because there was a lot of information that I found. The first piece of information that I found was about Clara Blending, and Clara Blending played Aunt Em in The Wizard of Oz. This is really hard for me. Some of the information, or some of this information, is really hard for me to get out. So if I stutter or I kind of pause for a moment, bear with me. Okay, so Clara Blending, she was Aunt Em, the cute little old lady that played Judy Garland's aunt in the movie. She committed suicide in 1962. She was suffering from severe arthritis, and then all those complications was leading her to blindness. Now, this happened way later. She didn't go through all of that at the time of the movie, but as she got older, then all of this started happening to her, and it was extremely severe. She was found with a note explaining why, which I guess is better than not having a note at all, but she overdosed on pills. I believe they found her with some type of bag over her head. And what's even more sad, at the time this happened, 7 years later, is when Judy Garland did the same. She overdosed on barbiturates and, she passed away. So, okay, to the next piece of information. Okay, so Margaret Hamilton, she was the Wicked Witch of the West, the green. I'll get you, my pretty. That's her. She was 36 at the time that the film was being done, and she was burned. I remember when she stops Dorothy, she's trying to get the slippers, and everyone is screaming and scared, and she tries to get Toto, and this is when Dorothy gets the slippers on her own feet, and she disappeared. This was the scene that you really see her pop, just the flames come up. She was severely burned in that scene, and after that she refused to do any more scenes with fire. So that was one of many things that these actors went through. She also suffered from the green makeup that they put on her face, and I think all of the makeup at that time had aluminum, and I did a video about makeup and all the horrible things that they put in it, especially fake makeup. So I will leave that in the description box below if you want to see how really bad that makeup was, and especially at this time when they didn't have all the makeup or the nice makeup that we have now. So yeah, hers was two-sided. She got burned and the makeup made her really, really sick. Okay, so down to the next piece of information. This is Buddy Epson. He was the original Tin Man. Not Jack Haley. Jack Haley came after. This is Buddy Epson. He was the original Tin Man, and after just 10 days of filming, he became so sick. He ended up in the hospital, and basically, why did he get sick? Was the high toxicity levels in the makeup he was wearing. So this is like all through the movie. All of the makeup just had a high concentration of aluminum. So he unfortunately was very allergic, and he just couldn't recover enough to come back to the movie. And then that's when Jack Haley stepped in, who suffered from the same makeup, because obviously they didn't care what that makeup was doing or what it did to the first actor. They just slapped that right on to Jack Haley, who we know now as the Tin Man. So he suffered, even though he had a high tolerance for the aluminum, apparently his eyes did not. So he suffered from many severe eye infections. And his Tin Man outfit, as you know, their schedule was, I don't know, something like 4 a.m. all the way to 7 a.m., 8 a.m. And now actors' schedules can be like that. but they were suffering under severe conditions. And even though that movie is beautiful, I love it, and I wouldn't, want it to change ever. But yeah, they suffered quite a bit, and his costume was stiff, and so in between takes when they really, really needed the rest, because 4 a.m. to 7 p.m. My schedule is 4 a.m. to 2:30, and I'm like dead at 2:30. I like can't. My mind stops working. I just want to go home at that time. So I can't imagine having to stay at my job for another 4, 5, 6 hours, and then being under hot lights, makeup and acting and all of that stuff. I couldn't imagine it. But his severe constricted conditions from his costume just caused him to have a lot of fatigue. But you know what? I should add, he did get to rest. He just had to stay in a standing position or an upright position, which I can't imagine anyone going through these days in the movies we have now. Okay, down to the next point. Ray Bolger. He was the Scarecrow. I think he suffered the least on this movie, but he suffered for more than 1 year after filming this movie because of the prosthetics they put on his face. So when he finally didn't have to wear those prosthetics anymore, I guess they left lines, indentations, and grooves all over his face, and he still had them 1 year after that film was done. So nice. Okay, now this particular piece of information, I was really shocked. This is about the Munchkins. They were played by a troupe called the Singer Midgets. Now, I know this is not politically correct. This is the information I found, so I don't mean any harm, or I'm not trying to be nasty in any way to anyone, especially little people. I'm just reading the information that I found, so bear with me. Okay, so they were played by a troupe called the Singer Midgets, named for their manager, Leo Singer. They were from Europe. A number of them took advantage of this opportunity. I guess this was the time of, I believe, World War II. So they wanted to escape the Nazis, so they came over with this huge opportunity. Bert Lahr, and he was the cowardly lion, that lovable cowardly lion. Per Bert Lahr, the cowardly lion, he's the one who played the cowardly lion, a lot of the little people in this movie, they made a living panhandling, pimping, and whoring. Huh. I don't even know. Okay. There were many episodes of drunken brawls, partying, and indecent behavior on the set with all of these little people. Now, they were under a lot of duress as well. I'll get more information on them later, but those were the type of people they hired for this movie. And as you know, they played a big role in this movie. Now, next point is about Judy Garland. She actually went on a date with one of the little people. She was only 17 years old, and her mom was a chaperone. Now, in the book, because there is a book called Judy and I, and this is through the perspective of her husband, Sid Luft, and they were married from 1952 to 1965. He says Judy told him she had been molested by more than one of the little people on the set. So I don't even know. All I know is I have all these horrible pictures in my head of this very impressionable young actress, Judy Garland, being molested by one of the little people. I can't even get that out of my head, but supposedly this is what happened, and the information that Sid Luft made public was what Judy had told him. Okay, so this is the next point. This is also about Munchkins. It says, of course, the filmmakers deny, but in the scene, Follow the Yellow Brick Road, this is with the Tin Man, I believe Dorothy and the Scarecrow, when they are singing that song, Follow the Yellow Brick Road, follow the yellow brick road, follow, you know the song. So behind them in the trees, if you roll to that particular scene, you will see the little person hanging in the trees, and they really don't know it was a suicide. They're really not sure why, when, where, how, and if they didn't know, they're probably not going to release that information. Okay, next point. This was another tidbit of information that I was really shocked at. In the scene where Judy smacks the cowardly lion, remember when he's just acting a fool and she has to smack him? Well, through this scene, she was giggling. Like, I really sympathize with Judy because I laugh a lot, and I laugh inappropriately. I laugh at inappropriate times And I'm usually, it's just a nervous reflex. So I really, really sympathize with her. I feel for her, I should say. Not sympathize, but I feel for her. When I read this, I was like, what? So Victor Fleming, he was the director of The Wizard of Oz. I believe there was an assistant director, but he was the main director. Because she kept giggling through this scene, he took her aside and smacked the living daylights out of her. And so when she went back, she got the scene in one take. She showed deep. The next point, Victor Fleming, he was a Nazi supporter. And he was opposed to the United States entering the war. In spite of everything that was happening, just found that lovely piece of information regarding Victor Fleming at the time of this horrible, horrible World War. Okay, so the last bits of information, these are just points that I didn't know that I kind of added at the end. More than half of the cast died or were injured during production. Wow. Several actors playing winged monkeys fell from their wires snapping during flying scenes. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Temps on the set, temperatures, meaning the temperature under the lights or whatever they pretty much had all this new lighting because of Technicolor. This is when Technicolor was first coming out and very popular. So temperatures on the set often soared to 100 degrees. Now, often to 100, but probably more due to the lighting needed for Technicolor. Any actors in heavy costumes had near death or traumatic experiences from internal and outside temperatures. So imagine the actors who had no costumes were suffering and fainting and falling. And so I can't even imagine what it was like to wear a 100-pound costume. Okay, so yep, there was a lot of fainting, dehydration, collapsing, and yeah, they were just dropping like flies all over the place. Okay, so this is another point that I didn't know. A guard accidentally stepped on Toto's paw and broke it. And of course, Dorothy was forced to wear a constricting corset to flatten her chest because she has some tig-old bitties too. Yes, she did. To make her look younger, of course. So, and she was always complaining about that thing. I can't even imagine. Tight pants make me uncomfortable. Imagine something squishing my tig-old bitties. No, oh. She was also, poor Dorothy, poor Judy Garland. She was impressionable. She was only 17, and she was given uppers and downers because of the freaking schedule. Like I said previously, 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. was her shooting schedule. And in order to endure that, they would give her uppers to stay up, downers to fall asleep so she could get rest, and all kinds of stuff in between. And her mom allowed it. Isn't that nice? And Toto, little dog, earned $125 per week versus the little people who earned $50 per week. Yeah. And then they wonder why there were drunken debacles between the little people. I mean, honestly. Anyway, I'm going to end this on a lighter note. These are more pieces of information that I found that I never knew. That was really dark and twisted. I hope you enjoyed all that information that I found on the darker side of The Wizard of Oz. But I'm going to end this on a lighter note. Okay, so these were some points that I found, or some pieces of information that I found that I didn't know that I thought were pretty cool. Ruby slippers were a size 5. Can you imagine that? She had tiny feet. The first set of ruby slippers were pointed witch shoes. Oh my gosh, how cool. I'm going to try to insert pictures so you can see what they look like. Then the original color of the ruby slippers were silver, but changed to red for Technicolor. I never knew that. The white part of Dorothy's dress was pastel pink because it was better for Technicolor. I always thought it was white. That is so cool. And again, I'm going to be inserting, or I'm going to try to insert pictures so you can see what it actually looks like. The Tin Man's tears when he starts crying, because he cries a lot, were chocolate syrup. And they said that they tried to use oil, but the oil just made him look dirty, I guess. And Liza Minnelli, Judy's daughter, married Jack Haley Jr., the Tin Man's son. They weren't married very long, but they did actually get married. Toto was a female dog called Terry. I really like that because I had a golden retriever and I named it Goldie. So it's nice to know that somebody else did that. And the final tidbit of information that I found that I thought was really cute, the lion's mane was made out of a real lion skin. That is awesome. Okay, so this is the end of my video. I hope you enjoyed that. That was the darker side of the Wizard of Oz. Hopefully you didn't know some of those points or some of those, you know, pieces of information that I found and you're kind of like, what? But I did want to end it on a lighter note. Hope you stick around for, you know, the videos that are coming out because like I said, I have more paranormal and I have more Dreamtime stories. And of course, I'm always going to stick in some makeup videos because, you know, I'm always practicing on how to snatch this face. And of course, this is the end of my video. Guys, be good to each other and don't ever forget that what you think about, you become most of the time. So be very careful of your thoughts. Always be positive. Always say positive things. And do not doubt that you have the power to be and do whatever the hell you want. I'm going to leave you with that. And until my next video.